Hey, hello, and it's that day of the week again, the one that comes after Wednesday and before Friday.
Is it Thursday?
I think it must
Oh
be.
my gosh.
You've nailed it. You've nailed it, and it's day 31. These lockdown days will soon catch up with my numbers of years because I'm only 35.
A whole month in lockdown.
It's quite a thing. Oh yeah, 31 is the days. Any month has 31. Any month it's metal. There are more months with 31 than there are with any other number of things, because
Yep.
that was because of Julius Caesar and Augustus Caesar, who didn't want to have their months. So July and August both have 31 days, and it's because nothing 30, 31, 30, 31, 30, except for those two Roman emperors who go the whole hog and get their 31 days.
Wow.
Yeah. A good night's sleep. I wish I could get that. I didn't sleep at all last night. I had it for about 3 seconds.
And the night before last, either.
Not good.
No,
Not good.
not good. So we need to look after the pattern sleep. Apparently, how old are you, David? Well, don't tell me. But apparently, if you're between 26 and 64,
That's me.
you appropriate 6 hours or 7 to 9 hours, 7 to 9 hours. Any less than that, and it's too few hours. So
Wow. And as a teenager, look, it's 14 to 17 hours.
yes, teenagers, they're still developing in their brain, so they need plenty of sleep. So parents, let's be patient with our teenagers.
That was actually a newborn baby at 0 to 3 months. But anyway, never mind. No, we oh, hello, Renee. Hello, my very good friend Kevin. Hello, also Lisa. Thank you for joining us. Yes, Kevin says, and Kevin has changed his Facebook thing. What do you call it? The profile picture to St George's Day, which is wonderful. And he was telling me some stories last night, all about St George and dragons and kings and daughters and some fabulous tales about which I didn't know. I didn't know who St George was. I just know the Shakespeare thing, for God, Harry and St George. But that's
Oh
about
my
it.
God, David.
We've got Prince Harry now and a Prince George.
Yes, we do.
Oh, and a very good evening to you, Yvonne, and also to Torre. I hope you're good this evening, and thank you for joining us on our little rock and roll party. I've got my my whiskey T-shirt on tonight. It says,
Camden.
"It's a whiskey business."
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. Cue
The radio
David.
man, yes.
Must be my turn to talk then for a change.
Yes.
So we look at the numbers every day. We still need to stay home. Today there were 616 people sadly lost their lives because of this virus, but that means that 5 out of the last 7 days of these numbers coming up, we've been in a decline. And those guys on the podium, Kevin told me, have nicked my idea, because I have been banging on this for a while now. I use the thing that they use in the financial markets to smooth out wiggly curves by taking the average of the last 7 days, and they've started it doing now, those podium fellas. If it wasn't in a good cause, I would have to sue them. But there we are.
I'm behind on news on this in these terms of the coronavirus, because I've been so busy today that I hadn't had a chance to see the news, which is, I suppose, is good for my health or mental health.
Oh my goodness, it is. And I do say that, especially now that we've got these rolling news channels that just rolling, as Limp Biscuit once said. If you'd watched it every hour, and the news wouldn't have changed very much if it was miserable stuff. Hey, I'm not wearing my unicorn outfit tonight, Yvonne, but we mustn't give away the secret, because if we let on, we're members of the Unicorn Club, but if we let on, then maybe tomorrow night, if we let on, then other people won't join, and the idea is to get everybody roped in. So we'll see how that one goes. But anyway, yeah, it's very nice to have you on board. And Michael, it's nice to have you on board as well. So you must know Yvonne personally from your days in Northampton.
I do, yes.
Isn't that lovely?
We had lunch. Yes, I've known Yvonne for a long, long time. I met Yvonne through a lovely friend of ours, Claudia, and we share a few salsa dance together, and very great moments and lovely lunches in at work.
And although we've never met, Yvonne, I love your sense of humour. The things you post just creased me up in stitches, because I thought I was funny until I saw your stuff, and it's just like, whoa.
And she plays the clarinet.
Well, yeah.
She plays the clarinet.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, because it's a good thing to do in lockdown, isn't it? To have a musical instrument. I think it's a great kind of therapy.
Yes, it is.
Everyone sends us some laughs. It's all a laugh, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
So, anyways, where were we?
St. George's Day and
Well, yeah. Is it time? Because I haven't had a rant for ages, have I really? And so it's probably time I sort of stomped my feet and shouted a bit and all this kind of thing.
You got permission.
So do you remember? I remember this, and I remember thinking, what bloody idiots. It was early March, and Liverpool played Atletico Madrid at home, which is not normally a biggie, except that in Madrid at the time, there was a bit of the old virus around, and now Liverpool's cases of this virus are a bit higher than the average. It's contentious. Nobody can say whether there's a link or not, but you know, and I don't know what the result of the game is. So if anybody can tell me, then you know. But there were 52,000 supporters at that match at a time when they should have been locked down anyway, and 3,000 fans came in from Madrid where there's a lot of virus. But having said that, nowadays in footy games you don't sort of all mix. The supporters of different things tend to be kind of at different ends of the stand. So I don't know. The controversy is out there, but there are those calling for an inquiry afterwards. Now I'm delighted that you're with us this evening. Now we're going to see the numbers drop to zero because they're doing a Doctor Who thing on BBC One this evening, but we're going to watch it on catch up later, where 10 of the doctors, it's probably all 10 of the surviving Doctor Who's are going to be on a sort of children in need type thing.
Oh, what's that?
It's today. I know. Look, our numbers have plummeted to zero. Now we're talking to ourselves. But but the good thing, guys, is that there is, as you know, there is catch up. And we're going to watch it at the end, and I'm sure that you will too. Yvonne says she plays 3 instruments. Do please enlighten us as to what they are.
Well, I only know about the clarinet.
You are a lady of many talents. That's fabulous. The only instrument I play is the turntables. Does that count? It makes beautiful music. You can play anything from sort of Brahms to the Rolling Stones on them.
Yeah.
At the same time, you could do a fade between the
I used to
two.
play the flute, but that's about it. Nothing too much.
Well, to be fair, at school I did have a recorder, and after many months of practice, I was able to play 3 Blind Mice on it. So you know that was the pinnacle.
That's an achievement,
of my
David.
musical career. Da, 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 da. I can't even sing it. I can't even sing it.
Nope.
And oh dear. And I did promise to find for Cal if she comes later the song that my dad used to sing me as a kid, but I've forgotten it. So I'll have to do some. I know I'm going to do some thinking on my feet. I think today. So I will see if I can come up with it. But it may be that one may be pushed over until tomorrow. Sadly, because we should always on our obligations. Oh, so Kevin says it was Liverpool 2, Atletico Madrid 3. Oh dear. So it wasn't a good night for Liverpool all round really there. How does Kevin come up with this amazing information? He's an absolute
He's a
genius.
walking library.
I bet in pub quizzes when Kevin's there, the other teams just don't stand a chance. So next time there's a pub quiz, I want to be on your team, Kevin, if that's okay, because you know I like being on the winning team, even if I'm just the one who nods. And Kevin says I play the fool. Nice one. Oh my goodness me. So what are we having tonight in here?
It's tea.
Well, I know that, but it's not. It's
Peppermint.
Not, oh.
And mine is coffee. Yeah.
Yours is toffee.
Coffee.
Oh, yours is coffee. I didn't know you could get coffee flavoured tea. What will they come up with next?
News. He's deaf. A little bit.
So now here's a very interesting study coming out of New York. Where they have ascertained that they've been doing a bit more testing than we have, and in New York, Scott, hello, it's very nice to see you. Scott says you guys are my comedy half hour, lol. So you know, can you imagine we're like this 24/7? Yeah. I mean, whoa! So we're very honoured that you sort of pop in, but you wouldn't want to be here all the time. But when this is all over, you're very welcome to come round to Cambridge for tea. But anyways, so in New York, they've been doing a bit more testing than we've done here, and they took a sample of 3,000 people, randomly selected across New York State, and they tested them out, and they were chosen at grocery stores. And why not? And then they tested them via a fingerprint test. That was made by the state's health department, and they found, well, it's kind of good news and bad news really. They found that 1 in 5 people. And hello, Gaia, and also hello, Scott, who I said hello to a minute ago, but just told me you joined. So I thought it was your disembodied alter ego a minute ago, but the real Scott is now in the room. So, but there might be somebody impersonating you there. So there's kind of good news and bad news to that, isn't there? Really, because they've discovered that 1 in 5 people in New York State, that is, has got this kind of virusy thing, and there's an uneven distribution in New York City. It is 21%, and out in the burbs, it's much lower. But the thing is this, that when we kind of lie about how many people have got this. Hello, Chris. It's good to have you with us tonight. And we're just talking about some stuff that came out today to say that a lot of people in New York have got it. 1 in 5. When we lie, or we haven't got enough tests about how many people have got this, it seems like a very, very deadly, nasty thing, because we only tested 3 people, and 2 of them are in ICU now. But, when we test more people, we realise that this is not as bad as we think. There are different strains of this.
Yes, there are different strains, and I think it's gonna be here to stay. So we need to think of what are we going to be doing in terms of moving forward as humanity.
Absolutely, but this is one of the lowest numbers I've heard in terms of the fatality for this, which is 0.6%. So that stacks the odds far more in our favour in terms of going out for a walk and all that kind of thing. So that's good news. It still doesn't give you the chance to leave home, because if you do, I'll be waiting outside that front door. I mean it.
Perhaps we need to build more kind of hospitals and equipment and have 24/7 stuff.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely so. Absolutely so. So, so it's still nasty in the flu, but not as nasty as it could be. And then there's a miserable old graph in the in Metro magazine, so we're not even going to go there, but it's kind of got lots of curves and lines and funny things and red ones. And the red one is twice as steep as the blue one. That's the takeaway from that one this evening. Now, some good news, which is why we're here, really. Gilead. Doesn't Gilead sound like sort of one of Arthur's knights at the round table or something? Arise, Sir Gilead. But this Gilead is a am I thinking of Galahad? Anyway, this Gilead is a drug maker, and they've I've got to pronounce the name of this thing. They've got this drug, remdesivir. That's the one. The one that my friend Dr. Mike was talking about the other day.
Yeah.
And they've done a trial. It's not a blind controlled test, so they didn't give some people sugar and blah blah blah. But the results have been pretty damn good on it. It was a reasonably small scale study. There are bigger studies going along with these tests where they kind of blindfold you, so you don't know whether you got the sugar or the remedy. But so far so good. The idea is that these things kind of calm you down a bit and stop you going into that not cyclone storm. What is it? Cyto something storm. Again, Kevin will tell me what the word for that is. That the thing where the body gets a bit upset when you've got the old COVID. But it's good. It's a good response and it's kind of positive news, which is what we like. Pink flamingos and Albania. This is not something. It's not on the tip of the tongue. So when you think Albania, you don't normally think pink flamingo, and vice versa. So if we were to play one of those word association games, tomato,
Potato.
You got me. Well, no.
I was expecting to.
What a hoot. Well, I'm just kind of talking word associations, So anyway, next time we do this game, and next time I say pink flamingo, you have to say Albania, of course.
Okay.
And along the western coastline of Albania, and I'm trying to do my geography, that would be the sea end of it, wouldn't it? Which is why it would be called coastline. Pink flamingos are turning up because everybody else is kind of staying at home, doing whatever you do in Albania when you're at home. I don't know what you do in Albania when you're cooped up at home. I don't even know what you do in England when you're cooped up at home. But numbers of Albanians pink flamingos are up a third on the normal level of pink flamingos in Albania, and there they all are, ready to take off and head to new heights and do whatever it is that pink flamingos do.
They flap their wings like any other bird.
They probably do.
They're very, very big and beautiful. Do you know that the colour is thanks to the plankton that they eat?
Yeah. And there are some, not only pink flamingos, some curly pelicans have joined them as well. So there we are. This is some, it's just blown me away now,
At least
really.
someone is having fun. Nature. Oh, yes.
Nature's having a lot of fun. Do you remember Marianne Faithfull?
Rings a bell.
She was a friend of Mick Jagger's in the 1960s, a rock and roll icon. Oh, hello, good evening, Mark, who is just down the road from us, and hello, Eileen. Hope you guys are good this evening. So Marianne Faithfull was a very good friend, shall we say, of Mick Jagger back in the 1960s, and because of her sort of iconic rock and roll status, when Metallica did an album round about the turn of the millennium. And there was a track on it called "The Memory Remains," and Kev will bear me out on this one. And they actually got Marianne Faithfull to sing a bit at the end, which was a very nice gesture. And in the video, she's kind of swinging on a swing, I seem to remember, as the song ends. But anyways, she sadly came down with this bug. But after 22 days in the old hospital, she's out and is healthy again, which is kind of good.
Oh, fabulous.
And TripAdvisor and other services like that are available. But TripAdvisor has launched a service called Hotels for Health, which will connect healthcare workers with spare hotel beds. And I think that's a very nice gesture.
That's great news.
It's a very nice gesture.
Yes. Well, yeah, because the hotels industry's really being hurt by
Absolutely.
every single industry.
I mean, and yesterday, didn't we? We heard about a taxi driver. Was that in Turkey? I think where he was ferrying patients to and from the hospital for free, and then the doctors gave him a sort of fake call, but he wasn't too angry because when he came up for the call, they gave him a cheque and a round of applause. So it was round of applause night tonight as well. I hope everybody did their round of applause.
Yep.
We certainly did here, and with the window open and singing in the breeze, as you do.
The weather has been fabulous.
It's been absolutely astonishingly good, astonishingly good, and so we've got a rather brave zookeeper here, and this is in the Daily Telegraph today. His name, I've got to be brave to pronounce it, Edilberto Quevedo, and he's watching a bear, a speckled. It says a spectacled bear. Surely they mean a speckled bear. But he's watching a bear after placing his food in the zoo, and the keeper is just behind the barn. So I think he'd just better pull it in time if the bear took more of an interest in the keeper than in the food. But it's all nice. I mean, at supper time, you kind of set out the stuff and then stand well back, don't you? So it's quite a good thing. Are we going to celebrate?
No, well, it's a Judge's Day, so...
Yeah, let's celebrate good times. Come on.
Yeah. No, basically, we've been indoors. We tried to amuse each other one way or another. So we were thinking doing some kind of party. Well, I'm organizing a party with my friends. Hopefully we're going to have it online. I wonder if anybody of the people with us tonight have been doing that, and what is the outcome, because this will be my first virtual party. We as Mexicans, we celebrate everything, as you see in the calendar.
If it moves, celebrate it, and if it doesn't move, celebrate it.
Well, that's a fabulous thing, because every single day should be celebrated.
I think so, yeah.
Because we are still here, and that's a massive opportunity to really steer the boat to wherever you want to do it. Steer it to, if you know what I mean.
My good friend Kevin just joined. Kevin's joined, the other Kevin, that is. We've got two Kevins on the show right now. Kevin Darby from round Ipswich way. It's very good to see you, sir, joining us. Yvonne says, no, I played my clarinet. But I'm not sure what the question was.
What was the question?
The question was, did you play the trombone yesterday? That might have been that question, but please remind us what the question was. When you get to our age, it's all a bit of a blur.
3 instruments. So clarinet and which other? Annalise is with us tonight.
Oh, how nice! Oh, how lovely! Spectacled bears exist, she said, and wow, and do they hang out with sort of Eeyore and Christopher Robin? That's an extraordinary. I mean, a spectacled bear. I'm just thinking of a sort of big cuddly thing that you mustn't annoy and make grumpy wearing a pair of these. But I'm sure what an incredible. I will have to get. We need to know more about spectacled bears, please, because. Don't you just learn something new every day?
Yes.
I mean, I thought I was clever because I knew about lesser spotted grebes, but spectacled bear, wow.
Yeah.
So let's face up to the facts, and what do you got for us?
What I've got, facing up to the facts, acceptance and commitment. We need to accept that we are in uncharted waters with this kind of lockdown. We need to accept that we still have a life to live, and we need to accept what we are surrounded with. And how we're going to do that? By forming a commitment, isn't it? Yeah, forming a commitment with ourselves to wake up every morning and do the best that we can be. It's not that being an optimistic is being a fool. It's just seeing life in a different perspective in terms of accepting what we are, where we are, and what our present circumstances are. Accepting that the only thing that we can have within our control, because everything is not a bad word. Control is not a bad word. It's something that we like to have as part of security of being humans. So the only thing we can control is as to what we do during the day, how we plan our day, what activities we like to do. We wanted some free time for most of us, working heavy agendas. I mean, Yvonne has got a fabulous work, but it's very, very stressful, very intensive in terms of mental work. But now that we are in our homes, it's time for us to reassess what really life is all about for us going forward. Possessions, yes, they're lovely to have, a lovely house, lovely this and the other, but does it really matter within your core soul as a human? Is that really you, a possession? I don't think so, because you will never take it with you. So what is this life is about? It's about moving forward.
Yes, very much so.
Having control. So over to you. Oh my God, you found the bear.
I did. No, so this is what a spectacled bear looked like, and suddenly I had a sort of a dawning revelation as to why a spectacled bear is called a spectacled bear, because of that sort of thing, like the eyes. It really does look like he's wearing the old varifocals or whatever. So kind of. Thank you, Anna. That was a terrific revelation. And then
where's he native from? I haven't seen that bear. He's not Canadian.
From Bearland, is he? I don't know. From the Andes, it would appear.
Andes. Oh wow.
He's from the Andes. But yeah, I'm delighted to have seen that. Now sometimes you can read something and it doesn't make any sense. So Yvonne says, "Did I clap?" And I'm thinking, well, how do I know? Because we weren't there. And then I realised that what she says is, "Did I clap?" So it's all about
she didn't clap. She played the clarinet. Is that riddles, Yvonne?
No. She's saying, when she says, "Did I clap?" it means I clapped and then some.
Oh,
you see?
there you go.
So there we are. But it took a little while for the penny to drop with me as well. So when you get to our age, it takes a while for it to sink in.
Your age.
So love is all around you, followed by wonderful tonight. That is what I think Yvonne was playing on the clarinet.
Wow!
If I've got the right da-da-da. Now Yvonne sadly doesn't have enough hands to clap and play her musical instrument at the same time, so we need to have a couple more really.
What about if you do with your feet? You play the clarinet and just clap. Go in a yoga position and just clap with your feet. No.
There's ways and means, aren't there? Really, yeah. There's ways and means. I think we should we'll strap cymbals to your legs, and you can clash them together whilst playing the clarinet, and then you could be like a one-person band. That'd be good.
Yep.
That'd be good. Now, here's a kind of rather sad and at the same time kind of inspiring story. This is a woman from Belgium. Her name is Suzanne Haliertz. And she was 90 years old, and she refused to have a respirator, saying, "Save it for the youngest who need it most." I've really had a beautiful life. What a wonderful gesture. And sadly, this lady didn't make it. But what an incredible story of bravery, and what an inspiring lady. I'm almost. It's rare that I'm speechless on this thing.
Life is about little moments.
But that is so very, very touching. So very, very touching there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a doctor here. There's some very, very inspiring stories on this one. This is a doctor called Giampo Giron. He's 85 years old, so he's one of these guys who's come back from retirement. I'm not sure whether it's in England or not. No, he's in Italy. He said this. He said, "They asked for my availability, and I said yes. When you decide to be a doctor in life, you get involved. I swore an oath. Afraid of getting sick? Then it's better not to be a doctor." What a brave and inspiring man. There's some incredible people out there in our society who we sort of raise our hats to them. It sets the bar high in terms of kind of doing the right thing and being a good person and such, doesn't it? It it really does. It really does. Now, there's a whole load of these on this web page I found, and they're all supported by pictures and things. There's an Arab a guy who is of Arab descent who lives in Italy now, and he owns a fruit market, and he's giving fruit away for free during this pandemic. And he says, "You welcomed me into your country 10 years ago. Today I return my favour for you." Isn't that nice?
Yeah,
it's very nice. So there's some very heartwarming stories, and I think we might return to some of those later, because it's very, very, very nice. And then record stores. There's a record store in California called Amoeba Sounds. Amoeba as in the little single-celled organism thing. Not corona. Okay, just amoeba. It is in a bit of difficulty at the moment, and it's got 3 stores. So it's a kind of mum and pop outfit by the sound of it. I wasn't aware of it before. But the grateful customers have started a crowdfunding campaign to bring some money in, because clearly those closed stores will still be paying their rent and all this kind of stuff. And so far they've raised $100,000 out of a $400,000 target. So it's lovely to have appreciative customers, really, because all the record stores in here. We had some wonderful stores here in Cambridge. There's a terrific shop called Andy's Records. They started off on in the market square at a stall, and then they got their own kind of double-fronted business, and they're no longer around. And do you remember that One World concerty thing that was over the weekend? And the big takeaway from that was Charlie Watts playing his suitcase, with his blanket over his knee, well, 79 tracks based on that live stream have now been released to all the streaming services. There is revenue for that one, because the original concert was free, but all the proceeds are going to COVID-19 relief. So I think that's a terrific.
Great, all of humanity pulling together.
Yeah, very much
quest for freedom, because we cage in our homes.
It's brilliant. It's
isn't it amazing?
Very, very
Before
nice
we used to go to the zoos and things like that, and I mean, although I enjoy going to the zoo, I would enjoy seeing and knowing about fauna and all this. Now is the opposite.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're here.
So, yeah, in the good news reporting stakes, the BBC are not high up there in the league. If we had to do a top 10 of the newspaper, radio, television, and online outlets reporting good news during this crisis, the BBC would probably be number 10 if they made it that high. Because the things they think are good news are a bit, mundane. But they've got a lady pushing around what looks like it looks like a truck that you'd have in the garden for vegetables, maybe. Or it actually looks like one of those, when you have the home shopping delivered at home, they have these kind of trays. It looks like one of them, with 4 supermarket trolley wheels stuck to the bottom. And for some reason, she is Harry Potter, although I can't see the resemblance.
No.
But anyway. Full marks for trying, but that was the BBC's uplifting story of the day. There is worse, because if the BBC's number 10, then number 11 is a newspaper from Lincolnshire called, I don't know, Lincolnshire Today or Lincolnshire Online or something. And the lead story there, which is quite absurd, is that there is a postman who is delivering letters dressed as a horse. And it doesn't say which end of the horse he plays, but... because in the pantomime
horse
horses,
costume.
well, it is a sort of horse costume,
And he's standing on his feet.
Well, that would be the thing. Actually, I'll have to let's let's blow this up, and we can share this with you. But so yeah, definitely the Lincolnshire Times and Advertiser and Gazette or something is not quite as finger on the pulse as the BBC. It's the only guy time this postman's ever been in the paper. So there we are, and let's hope he's in the paper again soon. But there he is. It's a man standing up with a sort of inflatable horsey thing in front of him. Sorry to give the game away, guys, but the galloping postman of Lincolnshire, because I thought it was the Lincolnshire. I thought it was the Lincolnshire.
Oh.
I know. Not only is there a concerty thing on BBC One now with 10 Doctor Who's in it, but it's celebrated by our favourite bank. We won't say which one it is because then we'd have to mention all of them out of fairness. But it's the one in Northampton. Right.
With the big building.
with the big building and the blue logo. But anyways.
Thank you, Ivan, for sharing that. Okay, I love you and leave you. I need to go and catch up now.
Yay. Yes, it's called The Big Night Inn. And it is a big night tonight, isn't it? Because the ceiling is a good few inches higher than it was yesterday. But that's just because of my DIY skills and bashing it with ladders and things. Who hands up who watches that fella Joe Wicks? Because I think of the DIY shop. There we are. And now, hands up who does the stuff.
He doesn't.
No, I just watch and I think.
Yeah, and he gets tired.
I do. I get very tired. I have to sit. I have to slump in the sofa for half an hour after watching that fella.
You mean not slump on the sofa? You literally fell asleep.
I do literally. Yeah, I do literally.
How come? So much energy going on in the room with me just bouncing up and down?
I know, but at my age, you nod off quite easily when you get to my age. But luckily, I haven't done it through during one of these yet. But
yeah,
give it time.
In terms of DIY, we all have to be very careful doing DIY stuff. If you don't know how to use a thing, or if you... Because one of our friends, she got injured moving stuff from one place to another. And she hurt her back. So we have to really be very careful. If you're going to be lifting heavy stuff or doing some kind of heavy stuff, just have all the equipment, all the safety equipment. If it is you're lifting stuff, just wear one of these belts. What are they, way belts?
Well, in the sports shop, the name of which I can't remember, I got this very wide belt, and I kind of strap it all around me. And then I'm Hercules, and I can just doesn't make my arms any extra stronger. But when you look at those biceps, they can lift a fair.
Bigger.
We're so competitive, aren't we? I know.
Oh, yes.
I know you win. Doing stuff at home, doing gardening, doing DIY, lifting big heavy shelves and things. Remember that if you do sprain something, you're really probably not going to want to go to the old A&E right now. So kind of just do a bit less.
Yeah, just take it easy. What else have you found there, David?
What have I found there? Well,
Joe Wicks.
it was about So everybody in the land, I think, knows who Joe Wicks was, and I think is, and you showed me a video of him. I think even long before he was famous. When he only had a mere 800,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel.
Another friend of mine invited us, introduced me to his technique, which is high intensity interval training, and it's pretty good because it's only 10 minutes and that's it.
I'm glad it's not super high intensity training.
Oh my god.
No, don't go there.
I nearly said it then.
Oh my goodness me. Now
Apologies.
I'm glad you didn't run through that acronym for us tonight. Oh, a spectacled bear just ogled me as well. And I think you have to be... What do bears eat? That's a question, isn't it, really? Because the next time I'm approached by a spectacled bear, assuming his spectacles are working, I'll hold up something juicy for him so he doesn't nibble my fingers.
If you do go to Mexico, my niece, she lives in a beautiful place in Monterrey, which literally you go out the back door and you see this massive mountain, and I think there are bears there, so you're welcome to visit and to get to see a bear on the wild.
Ooh. Now, what is school for?
To learn.
But to learn what?
Habits. Bad habits.
Bad habits?
Yeah, you picked up so much.
Smoking behind the bike shed?
Oh, no. No, well, I don't know. Studies to to learn to develop a habit of learning, I suppose.
So I went to school for a long time and I did lots of exams and blah, blah, blah. But, of all the stuff you learnt at school, what have you actually used in your day-to-day life later on?
Maths?
In what way?
How many...
What maths did you use today?
Oh, today, about how many eggs I was going to put on an omelette.
Oh, and to be fair, this is like what did the Monty Python thing? What did the Romans do for us? Well, apart from aqueducts, viaducts, water, electricity, transport, satellite television, nothing. I don't think the Romans had too much satellite television.
Okay, what was...
There was one thing that used a bit of maths today. I put this very funny thing on my Facebook post, I think it was yesterday, where you had to sort of think of a number and divide it by the one you first thought of, and blah, 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 blah. Then you could choose your holiday destination, and Mexico was there and all sorts of other places, but the answer, whatever number you put in, the answer always came out that stayed home, which I thought was quite nice.
Yeah, 9. Based on the 9 rule, isn't it?
Indeed so. Ooh, here's a thing. So Anna Lindsay's sent us an article which we'll just have to load up. I hope it's not one with lots of videos and fireworks and things, because that will probably crash the live stream. But and this is the New York Times and an opinion piece on the New York Times about a doctor, I guess, who was working at Bellevue Hospital. But it's loading a bit slowly, so I think we'll have to stop the page loading and read it just after we come off tonight, because otherwise we're going to slow right down. But thank you, Anna, for sharing that with us. I'm closing that page for now, but we promised to have a good old read of it later, because our computer's not a sort of modern thing like you've got. This is a fairly ancient from the sort of pre-Victorian era, sort of maybe late Georgian.
That's right.
But anyways, yeah. So I was asking about really in terms of the sort of educational system, the benefits we get, because my question tonight is this really. In schools today, it seems to be the case that if little Johnny isn't very good at maths, we give him lots and lots and lots of extra maths. But if he's super good at French, we just kind of let that one go, and that sort of creates a lot of homogenous people who are all the same, with the same abilities at the same level, doing the same kind of stuff. Back in my day, young man and young lady, it was different, in that when you were very good and very talented, you were encouraged. And so you might never be good at French or whatever, but you'd be the best mathematician on the planet. And I think, if people do have special abilities, and it's not just maths, it might be clarinet playing like Yvonne. I think that we have an obligation to push that and to encourage and to build people up, to help people, if in a sense, to discover their own strengths, and then to encourage them to build those strengths. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea in terms of everything is going to change. Everything. Nothing is going to be like it was before after this coronavirus gets dealt with.
Except the sun. The sun will still rise in the east and set in the west. Carry on.
Right. Okay. My mind just went. So we haven't talked about schooling. A lot of our children are getting, schooling at home, and has to be addressed in terms of what they need to learn. One of my friends, he's a Buddhist, and he really focused on this kind of situation of teaching children based on their strengths. Because if you are teaching everything the same, we all have different abilities. All children, some are good at maths, some of them are better at art, or expressing their talents in a different way, not precisely with maths. So if they're not good at maths, if they don't fit into this math situation, they grow up to believe that they are dumb, and they're not. They're just as special as anybody else, but with different talents. So I do agree.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be addressed also in terms of the government to change
Yes.
education.
I mean, I suppose the government says to itself, well, we need this many engineers, and we need this many television producers, and the stuff they teach us at school is probably geared around that. It's probably geared around the skills that they want us to have when we leave, because they are the job vacancies they expect they'll have in 10 years' time. Maybe it's something like that. So that, like, I went to school at the height of the Cold War, so they taught us physics and all this sort of stuff so that we could build missiles to point at the other side. And that, I think, well, being blunt about it, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you haven't seen me on firework night with my match
Oh God. Okay.
pointing over the fence.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah. Let's encourage. But equally, if you're super weak at something, let's encourage that as well. So I'm in favour of sort of lifting up the ends really, so that the middle sort of, the middle is what it is. But push up the end so that this end goes super stratospheric. That's the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That's the really talented one, and this end comes up to the level of the middle. And the middle is just kind of happy, really. So just sort of plodding along, I think. But yeah, interested to have your opinions on that too. So this morning was a bit sad, wasn't it? Because it was our guy who the guy who started Radio Caroline, and it was his funeral, and there was nobody there. Ronan O'Reilly. And his family were from a place called Grenor, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's just on the east of Ireland, right next to the border with Northern Ireland. And again, 2 or 3 miles away, he was at this Catholic church, and it actually had a Catholic send-off at the church. The vicar was talking about how he was able to give Ronan his last rites. Through the window, basically,
Yes.
because of this pandemic we had, and the clergyman was saying that this kind of really brought it home to him, but at a time when he should have been, holding the hand of the about to depart and whispering into his ear, he's just sort of like banging at the window and waving, and you can see why. But this is the sort of the underside of this thing that doesn't really get reported or spoken about or discussed or whatever. But but then there was an online book of condolences, and boy, was that full of people, including me. Now I put my name on that one because that was one of my kind of childhood heroes. He's the last one of my childhood heroes who was still around.
Yeah. It was a strange experience. I've been to funerals, unfortunately. Sad, but this time is the first time I was on a virtual funeral. Is that what it is? And there are encounter emotions. Once you hear the hymns, it kind of gets to you. Then you see the empty altar, and you don't get to have that kind of closure. It's mixed emotions as to what it might be the new way of carrying funerals during this lockdown anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So our heart goes to everybody who has to say goodbye to in these circumstances.
Yeah. The only other online funeral I ever saw was Lemmy from Motorhead, who didn't have that many hits on his own. He had sort of Ace of Spades or something. It's the song that everybody remembers him from. But he was such a lovely guy, and he was so kind of like friends with everybody in the music business, and he was responsible for getting the likes of Metallica and a lot of the sort of headlining bands. He got them up there, and just a really, really nice fella. And there was a small invited audience of people who knew him. They're again giving some very moving tributes. But I think they streamed that one because of all the fans that were online that wanted to play tribute, and the number of people that played tribute to Lemmy Kilmister was just wow, just absolutely amazing, So But anyway, let's move on to other things. And a very good evening to Richard, to Lavina, and to my friend Adam, with whom I was at the BBC in the it must have been in the 1980s, I think. It was a long time ago. I didn't have this then. I don't think. You'll have to remind me whether I did or I didn't. And yet here we are with we didn't have the internet either, as far as I recall back then. It hadn't even been wasn't even a twinkle in somebody's eye until some while after I'd left the BBC. Actually, I left the BBC. When did I leave it? In the mid-90s. and even then there's only a few people who are having email there, and it was regarded as a sort of newfangled sort of gimmicky thing. Oh, it'll never catch on. And now look, actually now I was one of the earliest adopters of email, although I never actually I never reached that sort of small elite that get a BBC email address. But anyway, but I just used to think it was absolutely amazing that a message could come in from America or something, and I'd reply while they were still asleep or something, and then they'd send it to me, in the middle of the evening or something when I'd be doing something else, and just that conversations could go backwards and forwards across some time zones. I thought it was great. But now, you see, I've got email fatigue, because so many of these things come in that it's just a pain. And so I only look at mine about once a week, and then the thing that tells me that I won the lottery and I have to claim it within 2 hours or something, I just miss those.
Do you ever got to use those pagers? The little
I did
things?
have some of
I
them.
had pager.
So did I. Yeah.
Gosh.
Little thing that would beep in my back pocket. We've got so much in common, haven't we? My goodness, it's wonderful. Yeah, we could have paged each other then, and I don't think you could send. Could you send text on it? I think it just went beep.
Yeah, you had to ring someone and they just take a phone over.
Then you'd know that if it went beep beep, you'd have to ring your mum, and if it went beep beep beep, you'd have to ring somebody else. Those were the days, huh? Those were the days that a brick phone. I had one of those as well, a great big phone that sort of was about that big. So I did have phones. I did have email and all that, but along with pagers now, that I've left that era of my life far behind. It's in the long and distant.
It's just amazing. Technology has changed. Communication has changed so much, and now it's the good thing for me. I mean, having been born in Mexico, is that I get to be in contact with my family a bit more often, or get to see that they're okay, and that's fine. So yeah, it's good. And now that we have this lockdown thing, so it's a blessing. So we can all nurture our relationships, and if you happen to be with your beloved one, great stuff, or with your family. If you happen to be in lockdown, like some of our friends, in which they're in different houses.
Yeah.
Well, at least you get to see them every day.
And if you happen to be Bruce and you're spending lockdown with Demi, boy, you're going to get trouble from the missus when you get out.
That's an interesting one.
That wasn't it? That was.
Yeah.
And then you're posing for sort of Insta or something in your pajamas. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And her husband's there as well, Demi's husband. So it's a very strange thing.
Yeah, but it's a matter of trust. I mean, once you're in a happy relationship, I mean, it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, some people, I mean, in the olden days, pre-corona, a lot of people would travel long distances for work and ever get to see the family, rarely ever, once a week, twice a week, something like that. But the bond is there. They're together, they're strong, the communication is there, the understanding, the family. So.
Oh yes, I think it is. I think that's the key to it all. On the subject of which, what have you got there?
Well, this is a kind of paper that worked in 2006 with a psychotherapist at the time, and we got very good notes in terms of he's in Northampton, a lovely person, and we came across the backbone of love, which is we were talking about loving in terms of a relationship with someone, which is liking your partner, humor, which means being able to laugh to each other, respect, and basically keeping love alive. And the phrase love means never having to say you're sorry. It has a lot to answer for. You should say sorry if you have been thoughtless, hurtful, or unkind to your partner. If something is upsetting you, find a better way, a nicer way to put it across. Listening, communication, generosity, and effort. All these are applied to a couple. Like I said, all these notes are from 2006, long time ago. But if you are applied to yourself, if you happen to be alone, or even if you happen to be with your family, you have to like yourself and accept the way you are. You have to humor and laugh at your own silliness. I laugh at my own stupidity sometimes. Respect. We must respect what we put in our bodies, in our minds, with so much communication, bad news and stuff like that. Do we really want to feed our bad bit? Because we are good and bad. So do you really want to feed that bit? No, I don't think so. Listen to yourself. If something is bothering you, listen to what that is. Once you identify it, you get to see it. Communicate with yourself. What do I want today? For example, today I had chocolate. And I didn't tell you, and I didn't invite you any of the chocolate. Sorry. You have to be generous with yourself. That's why I had the chocolate. And effort, I had to get onto a little ladder together because I have hidden. I love chocolate and I have it right at the top, so I cannot reach it easily. So it takes an effort. So basically, if you like your partner, humor with your partner, respect your partner, listen to your partner, communicate, be generous, and have the effort to build that relationship and to nourish the relationship. If you apply all these things to yourself, wow, what a wonderful life.
That's fantastic. Wow. So to sort of back up what you're saying there, I thought I would drill on down and find a few websites now. What you were talking, which sort of deal with what the essential ingredients are to a loving relationship and such. And I thought perhaps there are some common threads. Kevin says, I bet you still have some vinyl records. Yeah, I've got boxes of them up in the attic.
Oh God!
Ooh.
Oh God!
Oh, you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe. Yeah, I've got a big old collection, which one of these days we'll bring them downstairs and have a good old look through. But yeah, and some of them not played at all, because I used to kind of buy these vinyls, then I would record my friends' copies onto cassette and listen to those and keep the vinyls, pristine in their containers and things. So I've got these three lists here. This one says respect. What do you know? This one says respect. What do you know? And this one says respect. So that's a winner. And I think it is very important, because if you didn't respect your partner, things would turn ugly pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you said, Dave, my shoes are dirty, go and lick the soles again, it just wouldn't, it just wouldn't quite, it wouldn't do it for me. It wouldn't do it for me. To be honest, yeah.
And it's like this every day.
I know. But especially with all that virus now on the pavements, it's just a real no-no. I mean, the chewing gum I didn't mind, And then here's a nice one. This one, genuine attraction to let you know that this is someone that you're attracted to. It's a very nice thing. It's a very nice thing. I think that's only in one of them actually. But some of these, to be fair, we're not comparing like with like. Some of them have got that's oh well, this one says passion, so that's near enough. So passion, attraction, so that's an important one. You see, we can distill from all these different lists.
Yeah, but passion can also is not only on the kind of private side. Passion is
I wasn't thinking about that at all. I was thinking about sort of enthusiasm for one's stamp collecting. Do you see what I have to put up with here?
No comment.
Loyalty. Loyalty's a good one, isn't it? Really, loyalty. So so loyalty means, when there's that philosopher bloke that I'm jealous of, not sneaking into the bathroom with him. I couldn't possibly comment on who it might or might not be. Socrates, but don't sneak into the bathroom with Socrates when I'm not around, because that's some. Similar ideas about money. I mean, that can be if one of you wants to spend, and the other is a bit thrifty and goes around turning off the lights. That might be a cause for concern.
Yeah, I think financial communication is bad sometimes in some relationships. What happens is in fear of losing your beloved, or for whatever reason, you don't address these issues in financial terms. But really, if you really want to have a stable relationship, you have to really be very honest in terms of financial affairs, and see what works and what's the aim, what's the goal. Is it the goal to buy, I don't know, a car or a house, or go on holiday, if we ever get to go on holiday again,
to the bathroom or the kitchen. That's what we're working on this trial.
Or anything. It's okay to discuss it. Say, for example, in our case, if it is above certain limits, it's something that we have to agree and discuss. Some things, I mean, we all have freedom of doing our own things. So I get my own things, or he gets his own things. But we have agreed to, apart from above a level that we agreed, that we have to sit down and discuss. So it's good to have this kind of conversations before everything gets out of control, because sometimes we just do it as a way of keeping ourselves happy, or we are missing something, so we don't know what that something is, so we just go and spend something, or buy something, or spend on something, and then we're like, oops, how am I going to pay for this? Credit cards to the top, and then you get the coronavirus. What do you do now? You are right up to the top. So the best thing to do is just tackle those issues first, and how they're going to go about, and just accept your flaws and move on. Ooh, didn't go very dark on that sense.
It's
From
good.
passion to finance. God.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned goals because football isn't my thing, I'll be honest, but goals is good. The goals in terms of your vision, your 5, your 10-year plan. I think it's always good to sit down and have a chat about that too, because and to be sort of broadly aligned and to be moving along the track together. I saw this again. There's a very funny post I saw today on Facebook, and it said, digressing slightly, but when these things pop into my head, it said like how men kind of tell you a story, and it's kind of it's just like a railway line just disappearing into a vanishing point in infinity, one straight one, and then it goes how women tackle things, and you had these branches going off in all sort of directions. It might have been one of Yvonne's. It was quite a funny one.
Yeah, let's
Quite
have
a
a
funny
look.
one. It's quite a funny one. Well, we can't have a look now because it's in here, but but I don't have it immediately to hand. But absolutely. So align those goals. Now, friends. Is it good that your friends line up? Do you think that I get on with your friends and you get on with mine, or is that not necessary?
It is necessary, yes. Of course, you have friends that probably don't agree with you, or they are different in different kind of worlds, but you just kind of get along.
Hello, Julie. It's been a long time. Hope all was good with you, and thank you for joining us this evening. We're just we got to the bit of the day where we're talking about kind of what it is that distinguish good relationships from bad ones. What makes relationships endure where others sort of fizzle out, and what are those essential qualities that make it work?
Yeah, you have to care about your partner, express affection, putting their needs first regularly, not all the time. Showing enthusiasm for the projects we do, responding sensitively and empathetically to their feelings. It's just common sense. We all have feelings. We're sentient beings.
Yeah, absolutely, and recognising, of course, and I'm talking about stamp collecting here again, that sort of initial immense passion for putting all these stamps in a row in the little book may change into something deeper, further down the line. That it's not always going to be sort of fireworks and all that. That sometimes the stronger bond comes really when you get that sort of deeper, more enduring, sort of based on understanding and based on kind of clicking and almost reading each other's minds.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So whirlwind romances, do they work?
Ooh, don't know.
Well, neither do I. But I am talking to Hurricane Irma here, and you're here with Hurricane David. So there we are.
The two biggest hurricanes in history, right? According to Steve. Yeah. Oh well, I don't know.
Norman, hello. It's very good to have you join us this evening. I don't think you've joined us before, but a radio stalwart joining us tonight. Good to have you aboard, sir. And of course, today was a very sad day because it was the funeral of our mutual friend, Mr. Ronan, who shuffled off this mortal coil into radio heaven. And we take our hats off to him. And if not for that fella, I'd be an accountant by now.
Yes,
I wouldn't be sitting here sort of waggling around in my whiskey t-shirt. I'd be just sitting there with the old pocket calculator, doing very long columns of figures on those paper things that accountants have.
He was a pioneer of his time, isn't he? A true maverick.
Yeah. Because without all those guys back in the day, radio would have been absolutely bloody awful. And I do remember the home service, it was called. That was the thing that was on the radio back then, and it was all kind of people who'd been to private school trying to be funny and not really being very funny, and kind of very pompous and conceited, and not really not the sort of thing that you really if you were doing the ironing at 10 o'clock in the morning or whatever, as I always do, obviously. Then it's wasn't the kind of thing that you want to listen to, and they didn't sort of understand that people want to be entertained, and that we were all kind of youthful back then, and all the stuff that was happening. It was happening in Liverpool. It was happening in the States as well, and we wanted to hear that music on the bloody radio, and not just sort of for half an hour a week or something with some patronising fellow going, and now a gramophone disc from the other side of the Atlantic, which will spin at 33 to the third revolutions per minute. No. We wanted all that wacky stuff, all the Kenny Everetts and all these kind of people. Very talented radio professional, and many more. And one of the things, I worked on this radio station for a while called Total Rock, and we were quite honoured to have as our sort of VIP presenter a fellow called Tommy Vance, who was one of the original DJs on Radio 1 and who also worked on the Pirates. And one day we were sitting in the old pub and he goes, there's a lot similar between the little thing we were doing and the Pirates, in that there wasn't, management in an office peering through a window at the jock, waiting to give him a ticking off after the show and all that kind of thing. People were encouraged to be creative. People were encouraged to get out there, make jokes and make it funny and all that kind of thing. And although that movie, The Boat That Rocked, that you haven't seen yet, it's a bit like sort of Four Weddings and a Funeral on a Ship. But nonetheless, it captures a little bit of what those times were about, which was a very, very, very exciting time to be young, with your finger on the pulse, and feeling that you were kind of at the centre of what's happening. And I'm not sure, here I go off on my old man's rant, but I'm not sure the young people of today growing up. I'm not sure whether people have the same.
They're very
thing.
sheltered, very sheltered. Before, there was an adventure.
Yeah.
You have to be against the whatever what you didn't agree with.
Yeah.
In this case, you developed this kind of pirate stations.
We did, and it was it was a genius idea, wasn't it, really, to take all that pop culture, stick it on a ship 3 miles off the coast with a huge, great aerial, which made it quite iconic because you could see those like from miles. I was an Essex boy and I grew up there. We used to look up to these things, and we would go of an evening down to the cliffs with our car. We'd park them on the cliffs and we'd flash the headlights at the DJs and all that kind of thing. And so it was a lovely, lovely, lovely feeling. And today's kind of celeb culture is not the same. Not the same, really. It's with those guys. See, radios are very immediate and friendly, and it's a different medium to all the others. You don't relate to the TV star. You don't relate to the newspaper journalist. With all respect to people in those professions, but you don't invite them into your home, do you? And you don't think of them as kind of friends and this sort of thing. Whereas radio is a very intimate medium, and you take your radio in the shower with you. You don't do that with the Times. It would just all go gooey. You have the radio in the bedroom. Some people do that with the telly, but and you have the television, the radio at the kitchen table. You have the television, the radio. Every time I said television, I mean radio. You have the radio in the car, and so radio is a real kind of companion. And when we're sitting there in these radio studios with our microphones, and here's one I made earlier as a radio gent. I got one of these, and that's why our sound quality is quite good. But we don't want to intrude too much on the visuals, so we always keep that just out of shot there. But doing a sort of one-to-one on the old microphone is a wonderful thing, especially when you get feedback from people there who become like a family, like friends, and all this kind of thing. And there was a terrific story from the days of the Pirates where one of them was complaining or something that they had a cold one day, and so a load of people, on the next tender that used to come out from the shore, sent a load of hankies and cough remedies and all that kind of thing. It was just so nice. So nice, something that was kind of lost later on. Later on, we got this pop station Radio 1 at the BBC, and they were the big station that everybody listened to, and all these DJs, and the boss had to haul them in and give them a good old telling off. I got a lovely fellow called Johnny Beerling, and he said, "Guys, stop this!" And they were all going, "Well, I was in the Maserati last weekend, driving down to the old mansion, peeps," and hey, come on! It's not about that. It's about reaching out and touching people and connecting. And I think we're getting the opportunity to do that again now. It's a different medium, but it's a very exciting medium, and it's a medium that enables us to share, to conjoin with people all around the world. I mean, there's an old radio chum of mine, who I mentioned every few days, a guy called Ferry Mart, and he was from a little bit later era than Norman. He was from the 1970s. And again, this was a guy that we used to listen to on our radios all the time, and blah 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 blah. And now again, he's established a sort of rapport with people. He's done the dream thing, which is to kind of retire. And go to a little island called Bonaire in the middle of the Atlantic, but due to the sort of way that we're all connected now, if he's sitting on his roof or something, we see a photo of it, and an hour or two later, which is a kind of wonderful thing, and it was just, doesn't seem like 10 years ago, but 10 years ago. There's a geeky bunch of people who every year run an event called PuntCon, which is like a sort of conference. I guess they won't be running it this year, but it's like a sort of conference on these punts that we have here in Cambridge, going down the river, and they're all kind of quite techy, geeky people. And the highlight of the first one I ever went on of those, we did this remarkable thing, which seemed pretty cool back then, because the internet had just sort of like started, and so we took a punt pole. We took a webcam like the one of yours that I've lost on with a long cable. We tied this to the top of that, and then we had it going into a big old computer, much chunkier than this. Then we had another thing that beamed the internet somewhere. And while we were still having this picnic, we were able to put on the internet a picture from about 4 meters up, because it was on a wooden pole. It was like the world's first selfie stick was a 3 meter punting pole, tied on with gaffer tape. And we put this picture on the internet of all of us sitting there having a picnic, and we thought, like, wow, this is the future, man. And now, like, selfies are just like, oh, everybody does it. So that was probably one of the world's first selfies. One of the world's first webcams, for sure, was, in fact, the world's first webcam was here in Cambridge. I bet you didn't know that.
Nope.
And it was the Department of Computing, I think, and they had a coffee pot. So again, they had a lot of equipment with a camera in front of this coffee pot, and they were streaming this picture of the coffee percolator or whatever it was onto the internet. And then later, about 10 years later, some German magazine paid a huge, about 60 grand or something, for this coffee pot, so they could have the subject of the world's first ever webcam. But I don't think we'd get very many viewers tonight with a coffee pot, really. We'd try it tomorrow, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Are we sort of drawing to a close at this stage, my beloved?
Yes, that's right. So
You're going to have some thought to leave us with, I do hope.
yeah. Right. So basically, right. I've got this little book in which there's several questions that you can ask yourself every morning, and says, does someone have to fall before you help them?
Oh,
Obviously, no.
that's nice. That's so nice. That's so nice. That's a very nice thought on which to leave us tonight. Thank you for coming into our home, for coming into our room, for kind of sharing a cuppa with us.
And keeping us sane.
Keeping us from absolutely going bananas and being in each other's throats and doing who knows what. And, it's greatly appreciated. And I was saying this to my friend Jeffrey the other day when he said, it's wonderful what you're doing. It's wonderful for us as well, because we're like throwing open house. And I think we're going to maybe even continue this when the lockdown's over, because it's really, really wonderful to connect with all the absolutely wonderful and lovely people who join us from many different backgrounds, from many different walks of life, and just to share a bit of what's going on. And then sometimes in the day I do these link ups as well with people in different places. And so we're all connecting. We're all living in the same planet. We're all breathing the same air, and let's hope we're all kind of slowly starting to realise that.
Keep safe, keep happy, keep going.
And we love you. And we'll see you at the same time ish tomorrow. Thank you so much for your company tonight.